In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front door latch on this Ford F-150. Let's get started. Pull the handle out, and then with a pick or a trim tool, remove this plastic cap here. Sometimes it'll be hard to take off, might require a little bit of force. They are clipped in pretty tight here. There we go. Pry this away. This will expose an 8mm bolt. Remove it. Set it aside safely. Inside the grab handle, you'll notice a little cap. Take a pick or a pocket screwdriver, whatever you have that'll get in here. You have to pry this up. There we go. Once you pry it up halfway, you can go to the other side and pry it up the rest of the way. This will expose another 8mm bolt. Remove that as well. Pull it out of there. It's not the same as the other one, so make sure you don't mix them up. At the bottom of the door panel, you have two 6mm screws. There's one right over here. Take that out. And then the other one is towards the inside of the door. Take that one out as well. Let's remove the master window switch. Use a trim tool. Pry it up in the back here. Be somewhat gentle. You don't want to break it. And work your way to the front. It should slide up and out, at which point you can flip it over once you have it out of there. And you'll see three main harnesses here. Start with this one at the back. Unplug it. Then this one in the middle. And this last one at the front for the lock switch. And set that aside. Now take the door panel, slide it up, and it should unlock. Don't go too far with it because the mirror switch is still connected. So remove it off of the door. To disconnect the door latch cable, has two tabs, one on each side. I'm using a pick, but you can use anything that'll squeeze them in. And once you squeeze one in, try to pry it through to hold it squeezed in. Pry the other side. This is not going to be super easy, but this is the only way to get this out of here, unfortunately. Perfect. Slide it out, take the ball end of it out of the door handle, set it aside. Now the mirror switch that adjusts your mirrors has a tab on the front side of it. Press it and disconnect it. And now you can pull your door panel away. Now we have to take this piece off, which is only held on with an 8mm screw over here, or bolt, and then the rest will twist off once this is out. So remove it. And then you want to grab it, twist this that way, and this up, pull it away, which will expose this bracket right here with the three 8mm bolts that this is held on with. Remove all three of these. Set this aside. Now you want to peel the vapor barrier off. Start on the outer part of the door here. I'm not going to peel the whole thing away, just enough to expose the area that I need to work in. Make sure this sticky part either stays on the door or comes with it. It's important so that you can stick it back when the time comes. There we go. Now, if you look inside, you'll see this clip, the pink retainer. With a pick, I'm going to pop it open from the back side. This will release the rod that goes up to the door handle, just like that. Pop this out of here. Set that aside. Do not remove this rod. You don't need to do that. We just need to release it from this clip. There we go. Close that back out of the way. Now if you look up towards the outer door handle, you'll see this rod that hooks up and over this retainer. I'm going to use a pick through one of the access holes in the door, just prying out, and then I'm going to use a screwdriver to spread these two tabs apart. Hopefully pop this rod out. There we go. I pried up on the top tab while prying out on the pick, down on the bottom tab, and this released. Now we can remove this rod from the door latch, and I'm only doing this because it's small and it will most likely fall out and I don't want to lose it. There's a small black electrical connector at the top of this door latch. Let's unplug it. Now at the bottom here, there's a larger green and gray connector. If you pop it out of the retainer on the door, it'll be a lot easier to actually disconnect. Just use a trim tool and remove the retainer. Press on that tab, pull it apart. There are 3 T27 bolts on the outside of the door that hold on the door latch. Remove all 3. Okay. There we go, set those aside. Using a trim tool. At this point you have 2 options. You can either remove the cable from this retainer or pop the retainer out of the door. Now, this retainer doesn't really want to pop out of there. It just wants to slide the cable out. So I'm going to leave it because it's in good condition. If you have to install a new one, just do that. Let's remove these 2 bolts here that hold the bottom part of the window track on this side. I'm just going to loosen this one, just like this. Since it's slotted, it can come out. This one I can remove completely. And now I can reach in here, lift this up, just like that. Pull this piece out, set that aside. And now we should be able to remove the door latch, slide it out, give it a spin, pull the lock rod indicator out, and there it is. But we do actually at this point have to disconnect this rod and transfer it over to our new one, and the inner door handle cable also. Let's remove the lock indicator rod, tilt it up, pull it straight out, set that aside. And now if you flip this over, well, I guess don't flip it over yet. You can see this tab right here, push it in and through. Now flip it over and you can pop this clip right off, and then the rest of the cable you can remove from the assembly. And now here's your door latch. Now take your new door latch assembly and slide this inner door handle cable in, hook it into that slot, and then you're going to want to hook this end of the cap, I guess this would be, this retainer on there, and then it has a track that it has to slide in here. Just press it. It should lock into place. If you can pull it out and move it around, it's not locked in. It should be locked in tight. If you flip this over, you'll see right here where the lock indicator goes. Put it through and lock it in. When you put this door latch assembly in, now that we have this rod on, you have to make sure that it goes in and then up through this top hole here. If you don't do that, it's going to be pretty much impossible to get it in once the latch is in there, so you're going to have to pull the latch back out and try again. So just be careful from the beginning to aim it so that it actually goes through here. You might have to grab it and kind of manually guide it in here. There we go. All right, so now that's in. Try to line it up with the holes on the door. From the outside, this is what you'll see. Once it's lined up, you can start at least one of the bolts in. This will hold it in place for you. Then you can start in the other 2. Make sure you start them by hand so that they don't cross thread. Put them in here. Now let's tighten them up. I'm going to hold the latch, that way it doesn't move around too much and it's perfectly in position. Tighten them, make them snug. All right, that's in. Let's clip this lock indicator in. Let's put this back in. I have this one bolt that was able to hook around this slotted opening. So I'm going to hold it through that opening and line up this bolt hole. So now that this is in, you can see where the marks for the bolts are, and it's important to line it up because the window slides down into this track, and if it's off center, not lined up properly, the window will either, well, the track won't do anything and won't hold the window, or the window will be stopped before it actually goes all the way down. So I'm going to try to get it as close as possible. That is pretty much spot on. All right, so both of these are tight and lined up exactly where they were before. Now let's put the smaller of the 2 rods in, push it through, and then we'll have to hook it onto the outer door handle. And if you put a little bit of grease on it, it should slide in a lot easier than it came out. Now let's get the pink retainer clipped back onto the door handle cable. Put that in there. All right, make sure that clicks and then close the retainer. Make sure the outer door handle actually operates it and this doesn't pop open. If this pops open after you put the door panel back together, your outer door handle won't actually do anything. Reconnect this connector. clip it on, and I will re-secure it onto its retainer in here, which is somewhat difficult to see, but you can feel for it. And then the black connector for the door latch, all the way at the top here. Oh, there we go. Make sure that clicks so it's actually properly secured, and clip the door handle cable back in. Now let's put the vapor barrier back. Make sure the sticky tape here sticks for the most part. If for some reason you can't get this to stay back here, you can use some regular tape, painter's tape, anything you have, but it's important that this at least gets pressed up against the door, because as it rains, water does actually get in through your window a little bit, and you want to prevent that water from coming into the door inside the cabin. So just press this up against here. Let's put this bracket on, which goes over here with the 3 bolts, supports the armrest. Start those in. Tighten this up. Now we're going to take this larger foam piece, and you want to clip these white clips into the gray retainers like that. There's one at the bottom, one up top here, or on the side. And then at the top, it has one 8mm bolt. That's tight. Now bring your door panel in and connect the mirror switch. And for the door handle switch, you'll notice the cable end has a little ball end on it. Connect that to the handle itself. Bring it over like this, and you're going to want to push it through this hole until it latches in. You should not be able to pull this out. And of course, test the operation of the door handle to make sure before you close this up. One last thing before the door panel finally goes on, make sure these wires go through for the window switch. Okay. As we put the door panel in, you want to pay attention to the lock indicator. It needs to go through the little hole, otherwise it'll get jammed in there. Most likely your door panel won't even sit all the way because it'll be blocked by that. So bring this up and press it up against the door. And as it goes down, as you can see right now, it has not gone through the hole yet. I can see it. It's lined up. So I'm going to press the door panel down. And there we go. It was in the locked position, but if you just pull the door handle, it should pop up and through. Now let's put the bottom 2 screws in. Don't tighten these up too much. They screw into plastic, and they are very coarse thread, so they will strip the plastic out easily. Perfect. Now don't forget about the screw that goes into the grab handle. Tighten that down, and there's a little cap that hides it. Put that back. Put the master window switch back in. Connect all 3 connectors. Make sure they click. It has one of these clips on each end to lock it in. So just slide it straight down and press it in. Last but not least, put this screw in on the door handle. And then the cap with the cover. And there you have it.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.